Right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knick Knack, and I do occasional daily brain teaser quizzes for your education and delification and whatever else you want to add to it. I also talk about movies. You'll see a few of my reviews float past. And I also, on top of listening to the storm that's going on outside, I also talk about TV shows I happen to have seen. You've probably noticed I've put up posts about Edge of Darkness, For All Mankind. Possibly a couple of other things are going to be coming, and possibly things are already here. But you may have noticed I've done reviews of Series 12 of Doctor Who. And I've seen tonight's episode, Can You Hear Me? And wanted to share my thoughts about it. Let me try and give you my thoughts, or a quick summary, about tonight's episode of the time travelling adventure. Episode 7 of Series 12 of Doctor Who, called Can You Hear Me, opens in 14th century Aleppo, introducing us to a panicked Tahira, played by Aruhan Galieva. I hope I've got that right if you're watching. Desperately trying to persuade Miriam, Serene Sabha, to let her back into the hospital and shelter where Tahira has been staying since her parents died. Tahira is being chased by things with claws. Meanwhile, the Doctor, Jodie Whittaker, is dropping off Ryan, Yasmin and Graham for some much-needed time on shore leave. The travels means the three haven't seen friends and family for quite some time. Graham, Bradley Walsh, is playing poker with old friends until he's suddenly hit by what seems at first to be a hallucination, but also seems to be a telepathic message from a woman who's trapped somewhere and needs his help. Ryan, Tosin Cole, has dropped in an old friend called Devo, played by, and again I hope I get this right, Buom Timgang, and stays over when Tivo himself starts having equally strange dreams about a strange old man with extremely detachable figures. Yaz, Andy Gill, drops in on a myrtle of sister Sonia, played by Bhavnisha Parmar, so that the pair can mark an anniversary of when Yaz tried running away, when Yaz herself again has what seems to be a combined nightmare and a hallucination of herself on an isolated road on the moors. When the team get back to the TARDIS, the Doctor manages to find the colliding planets that Graham saw in this message from a mysterious woman, and it's a pair of colliding planets out in the back of the interstellar beyond, in half a galaxy away, as the Doctor puts it, from the Geskin Straits. The planets, something in between the planets, and a base that's monitoring that something. It's only when the team get to explore the base that Yaz and Ryan and Graham and Tahira, who's along for the ride, get captured. And it's only then that the Doctor gets to meet their captive, or captor, Zelen, played by Ian Gelder. Formerly he showed up as Mr. Decker on Torchwood, so you know. It seems Zelen isn't as human as he looks, and is needing help from humans to release an old friend. It seems those dreams that the three are having, and everyone else that he's captured, have a reason for existing. Now, let me try and summarise here. What on earth did I make of Can You Hear Me? I loved it. I really do loved it. Absolutely loved it. The actual tone, the dark feel to this particular episode is so bloody perb. Excuse my language there. Granted, there's maybe a flaw or two. I think the plot could maybe have been stretched out 5 more minutes there. But it did give, in its favour, it did give Charlene James and Chris Chibnall, the writers of tonight's episode, time to put a scene in near the end of the episode that shows us Ryan having doubts about travelling with the Doctor, and with Yaz reassuring him that the pair of them are doing good things out there and getting to see incredible stuff. I think that's possibly setting up Ryan to leave potentially at the end of the series. I don't know. We'll have to see how it pays off. One of the other fairly minor flaws is, again, Ryan got underused tonight. Tosin Kill's a capable actor, and okay, they brought Yaz forward for this series, which is good, but he seems to have suffered, I think. We'll have to see what happens, I think, but it seemed noticeable to me that he's this year's Joe Grant. He's getting the he works out comments. He's getting the heartthrob comments without necessarily anything or much to do. Again, we'll have to see what happens there, but it's quite noticeable to me. On the whole, I'm thinking this episode, Can You Hear Me? Is more of the Doctor's episode rather than the companions. Ryan's suffering a bit. Yaz and Graham are getting some good time in this episode. Not as much as I'd like, but getting good time. The Doctor, Jodie Whittaker herself, she's getting stretched. She's actually doing very well, talking to thin air, interacting and quoting and acting and behaving without the companions around. Yes, the character likes having them around. The Doctor is nothing without the companions, in a sense. But it's showing us how well the Doctor can do without a companion. Those of us who remember The Deadly Assassin back in the day will realise the character's capable of being on his own. Yes, the companions help. Yes, they can be done without for a short time. This episode seems to show us that the Doctor can manage without. She actually got a workout, I think. I'll be honest there. I do think she's got a workout on that one. Can I ask you a question here? Have you read any of the culture novels by the late Ian M. Banks? Yeah, no? I've read a few over the years. And I have to admit, if you want honking great space opera, you cannot go far wrong by getting hold of an Ian M. Banks novel, like Session, Consider Phoebus, Look to Windward, what have you. They are fantastic stuff, and they're big, big space opera. You might think it's a long way to the chemist. You might think Star Trek and Star Wars have got the market in space opera. You'd be ignoring bloody good and bloody big space opera if you haven't sat down with an Ian M. Banks. I don't know quite how many other writers have quite managed to do the same thing. Large technology, godlike artificial intelligences, huge habitats, and a setting that shows humanity or a humanoid species can survive as a space technology, but also has dark edges to it. I love the culture stuff. I absolutely do. I would have loved to seen the late Ian M. Banks doing an episode or two. I feel during Russell T Davies's era, during Stephen Moffat's era, another Scottish dark writer, I think he would have gone down well. I like the kind of feel he did or put into his novels, and it strikes me that Can You Hear Me is very Banksian. It's got a dark tone. It's got villains that are damn near gods, and it's got a central hero who is almost a god, but impressed and concerned by her opposition, seemed to be nastier than anything she's seen in some time. Consciously or otherwise, I think they've made a pair of menacing villains for tonight's show. Consciously or otherwise, it's a very Banksian, very dark tone. And consciously or otherwise, I absolutely bloody loved Can You Hear Me? it's fantastic. And I will make no bones about the fact that I think I've seen one of the best Doctor Who episodes that I've seen for a couple of years now. At any rate, I'll leave that there. I'll do my usual thing and say thank you for watching. Me carrying on the way I do can be quite a handful sometimes. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Have a good evening.